I get really lovely Instagram DMs
That's
all
cute.
the time. I get some creepy ones. Turns like, my daughter watches your show and you're so hot. And I'm like,
wait, what? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chiaspora, the show where we interview those who left Chicago, but Chicago never left them. Today, we have someone pretty special because she is on one of the, I think, the longest-running Nick live-action show in history.
Yeah.
This is Carrie Barrett. But the funny thing is, if you look at her, look her up on social media, for some reason you'll think her name is Carrie Barrett, but it is not. It is definitely Carrie Barrett, the normal spelling way of Carrie and Barrett. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Carrie Barrett was not available. And if you go to it on Instagram...
It's always a problem, isn't it?
It says, I don't know how to... Instagram won't let me delete this account. But
there's like no followers, right?
There's no followers,
of course.
and she has in her bio that she doesn't want it. And I'm like, but I do want it, like for professional
Have
reasons.
you ever tried to direct message that person?
She says, this is an inactive account. I no longer check it.
But she
Instagram
responded to
will
it.
not. No. It says
in the bio.
Yeah.
See, that's annoying, though, because here's the funny thing. I tried to do that once for something completely different. Hit that person up. All of a sudden, they said, yeah, well, I'll take a look at it. Didn't hear back for a while. So I checked in. And they're like, why are you stalking me? I'm like, no. I was literally just asking if there's anything I need to do.
Yeah.
And then never heard back. And that was it. That was over.
Oh.
So you got to be careful with those things because you never know who's on the other line.
Or they'll be like, for $10,000.
How much more?
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, I'm not fancy. I just
really want the name.
Myself under my name. Yeah.
Well, very cool. It doesn't matter. Carrie Barrett's still, obviously we're talking about it, so you did something right?
Yeah.
It's its own promo
Thank
stuff.
you.
So you were not originally, you were born in Chicago? No,
I was born in Virginia. I actually moved because my mom was working in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And very long story short, I was on my second undergrad school at UVA and was taking some time off. I'm using air quotes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why?
I had a really fun time at the University of Virginia. It was like the first time in my life I ever let myself...
Got away, had a good time.
I did. I was such a little adult as a kid. And then this one year, I just was like, I'm just doing whatever I want. And I did. And it was totally fun. My grades suffered. I am not the type of person that can party hard and work hard. Like, I have to choose one or the other. That's how I found that out.
Yeah, before that you didn't even know.
Yeah, I didn't know, and now I know. And so I was taking some time off at the advice of the school, and my mom was like, come to Chicago, get away. Because there was other stuff going on in my life, and it was the best decision ever. And I had wanted to go to undergrad in Chicago, and I don't know why I didn't even apply to a school there, but I used to look up Chicago in my encyclopedia set.
As a kid?
Yes.
That's kind of odd.
It's really weird. And specifically Northwestern University, which, flash forward, I went to grad school there. It was like a dream come true, but I didn't even apply. I was such a low aiming,
Well,
kid,
let's be careful because I was about to say, you went to UIC?
Yeah, but that's what was my third school. I went to UIC after I moved to Chicago. So it wasn't, I finally got to Chicago and I loved UIC. I think it was an unbelievable education for the money.
That's awesome.
I was in their art school and I had some world-renowned artists teaching me. My boyfriend went to the Art Institute and we compared our first year, he didn't go there for all 4 years, but our first year teachers, and we had some of the same teachers.
Oh, that's cool.
So I got...
Because Art Institute's known as...
Yes, and it's crazy expensive.
Yes.
And I went to a state school and had the same teachers and just an amazing art education
That's
there.
great.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So I wouldn't say that was aiming low. But my, the schools that I applied to were not the schools I wanted to go to. I don't know. I just thought I could never get into NYU or I could never get into Northwestern. So I applied to, a school outside of New York City, which is where I ended up going, Hofstra University. Which
that's a good school.
It's a great school too. Yeah, I had a great time there. It just wasn't, I don't know. I was very, if you can't tell, the theme of my late teens was very lost. It was when I moved to Chicago when I was 19 or 20. that I started
like
to have a
into high gear.
trajectory. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool. But prior to that, though, were you acting in grammar school and things like that?
Yeah, I did. I did my first play in first grade. I did the
Okay.
children's theater in my hometown. I'm from this, like...
What's the town?
It's called Colonial Heights,
Okay.
Virginia. And I call it a small town because even though it has, like, I don't know, 15,000 people in it, it feels very small.
15,000, well, compared to big city like LA or Chicago, it is baby.
In Virginia, it has independent, unincorporated cities that aren't part of counties.
Mm-hmm.
It's a commonwealth, and which I have a very limited understanding of what that means.
Sounds very colonial.
Yeah, exactly. So, we were like a police department, and our schools. There were 3 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 1 high school.
Okay.
And my graduating class was like around 100 students. So, I mean, it felt small. Like,
And you all knew each other, and the families knew
Exactly.
each other. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
New kids. We had some like army brats that would come, move to town, and they were like the fresh meat. We were like, everyone was fighting over who to be friends with the new kids because
That's so funny.
it was just somebody exciting.
My friend, he's in the Navy, he's in Virginia right now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but he's not in
Is
your
he in
small town.
Norfolk?
Close
Or Newport
to.
News? Yeah.
So I actually was there for his wedding, but it was it's in Virginia Beach.
Beach, yeah. All that whole
but it's that area, yeah. Oh,
Which
by
is-
the way, I like that area.
It's the most populous area of Virginia.
It was really.
surprisingly.
It was my first time to. I mean, you go to DC, you hit parts
Yeah,
of Virginia,
yeah.
but it was the first time like in Virginia, and I liked it. I like greenery and from the Midwest, so
Yeah.
it reminded me of Michigan a little bit. It was cool. I liked
yeah.
it, but there's a lot of military.
It's a lot, yeah. My home, Fort Lee, is near my hometown, and it used to be a very small base, but now they have an officer training school, and I think like octupled in size. Like, it's so much
Wow.
bigger than it was when I was a kid. But so I had a lot of friends who had lived all over the world. So it was interesting to be kind of small. It felt very isolated, but also, oddly diverse in a way. Not diverse. It was very white. People used to call it colonial whites. But then, there was like a big Korean population and a big Indian population. And so it's not, a lot of southern towns, it's either black or white. And
Sure.
this town had a
little more.
a little more diversity, but very, very white. And, not everyone there is racist, but it has sort of racist beginnings. It's a kind of a product of white flight.
It's really sad, but there are a lot of places still in
Yes.
existence.
Yes, there's a lot of Confederate flags flying there still. And I'm not, not for that, but it is what it is.
So, needless to say, I'm sure not a lot of actors come out of your hometown.
No, although we did have, and I can't remember her name, there was a soap star.
See, that's when you know that there's not a lot of actors.
Yeah.
That soap star that people knew, Mrs. Cunningham. Oh
Yes,
my God.
yes.
That's so funny.
Petersburg, Virginia has like Blair Underwood, I believe, is from there, and Joseph Cotton, who was like a big star in the 30s and 40s,
Okay.
like a really big star, A-list movie star, is from Petersburg. But no, I did not know anyone personally who had a creative job. So it's my grandmother, I don't know, a couple years ago was like, when will you feel like you've made it? And I was like, Grandma, now.
Yeah,
I'm
on a hit show, and it's still going.
Well, I think this might have even been before I did Henry Danger, when I was just doing a lot of commercials. I was like, this is beyond my wildest dream.
You're in it, and you're working.
Yeah, I've been
That's
working
it.
full time for 10 years. That is mind blowing.
You should be really proud. Honestly, I have a complex. I've been out here almost 10 years. I've done some stuff. I don't feel like I've done anything.
Oh.
But that's amazing to hear. It gives me hope that the fact that you actually feel like you did it, and by the way, you have. What I'm saying is, it's just one of those things where you've accepted that. There are a lot of people who've even hit, like, probably hit the Oscars, who are probably like, but I don't have 2 Oscars.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So it's really great that
Yeah.
you've accepted it like that. It's great.
I really do. I mean, I tell my friends this too when you're struggling. I mean, because of course I struggle, and of course there are things that I wish that I had, and a lot of people, I joke, would find it sad that I think I've made it. There's a lot of people that be like, what? She's,
No way. Everybody in your little hometown, I guarantee you, goes, no, that's that news anchor. I know her. I know her.
Yeah, that feels good. Like, I've had a lot of my hometown friends, ask for my autograph for their kids.
That is so
and
cute.
it blows my mind.
That is awesome.
The people I am most starstruck by as an adult, and as sort of a nonplussed Hollywood person. Well, I say I'm not. I'm actually incredibly enthusiastic about everything still, but I am not that starstruck. I am like more impressed by my non-famous friends sometimes than I am. Some celebrities can be terrible. But the people that I am most starstruck by, a couple years ago, like 10 years ago, I was at this theater conference as a playwright, and there was an actress there who played a mom on one of my favorite kids shows.
What was that?
Clarissa Explains It All.
Of course.
And I was like, she has actually been, her name is Elizabeth Hess. She's an unbelievable theater actor and a really beloved teacher in New York City. And just a wonderful human being. And she has since been in readings of my play, one reading
That's
of my
awesome.
play. But I was so excited to meet her when I met her. It took me a while to figure out, like, how do I know you? How do I know you? And then she's like,
I'm your mother.
You've seen me on a kid's show. And I was like, yes.
That's so cool, though. And now she's worked with you.
Yeah. And now I was like, oh, my gosh. So I guess by that standard, I could be kind of excited for myself,
My younger brother has also given me grief. Like, oh, you just want to start. You don't understand. I want to work with these people.
Yes.
Like, I don't look. I never actually. Pretty much almost any celebrity. It's kind of you see them and I say, like, if I meet them, it's never like, oh my God, sir, let me. It was never an autograph.
Right.
It's more of, hey, maybe I'll work with you someday. We'll do something.
Yes.
You'll come on some Chicago interview thing. We'll figure something out. But it's that kind of thing. I think that I can highly relate, I guess, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's really cute. Yeah. Somebody who was on the show was, I grew up watching Boy Meets World.
Yes.
So Mr. Feeney, William Daniels, he went to Northwestern.
No way.
Yeah, him and his wife. And his wife is from Moline, Illinois. So when I got to go to their house.
Oh my gosh.
It was remarkable for me. I kept on telling him, I'm like, you don't understand. I'm telling my 10-year-old self I'm meeting Mr. Feeney right now. And he's like, okay. He's probably like, who's this kid? But no, to me it still rings true because, yeah, like you said.
That's what I was going to say. I took myself on a long tangent, which is like whenever I'm struggling or my friends are struggling, I always say, what would your 6th grade self say?
Right.
And I mean, I would just be like, no
Yeah,
way.
you did
I
it.
felt like such a dork.
Carrie Barrett,
yes.
you did it.
Yeah, I would not be able to believe it. I mean, I'm still not able to believe it. And
You're on a hit kids show right now.
That's crazy.
What's going to happen is these kids are going to grow up and in 5, 6, they're going to be big teens. And they'll remember you. No joke. I have a cousin who is 16. Mm-hmm. I told her that you were coming on. Mm-hmm. She goes, wait a second. I know her. I love that show. She mentioned, I'm blanking on the kid's name, the main character.
Oh, Jace Norman? Or Henry?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
the character's name is Henry,
but Jason. But she mentions him, and then she goes, wait, I know her. She was in the live production of because you guys did like a live musical production. Right,
yeah.
Exactly. And she was like, she was awesome in that. I said, well, I'm going to go say hello for you. And
what's her name?
Carly.
Carly. Well, hi, Carly.
Yeah, let's do it right there.
Carly, hi. Thank you for watching.
Carly, don't ever say I don't do anything for you. But yeah, it's so funny because everybody grows up and then, Mr. Feeney, William Daniels probably thought like, oh, this is going to be this little kid show because I read his biography, he kind of said it like that. And now he gets stopped, of course, all the time for that.
That's so cool.
Have you gotten that yet? Have you gotten the stop?
I have gotten stopped at auditions by actors, but I get really lovely Instagram DMs all the
cute.
time. I get some creepy ones from some parents who watch.
I love the news on your show.
Yeah. Or just like parents be like, my daughter watches your show and you're so hot. And I'm like,
wait, what?
Yeah. I do think the show does play really
By the way,
well
my
to
wife
adults.
also thinks you're hot.
We all love it.
We all love it.
Which I mean, of course, I'm like, part of me is like, wow, I can't believe you know who I am. But
that's weird.
But I get so there's kids from all over the world. It's international, so I've had kids from Africa and Brazil and Italy, and they've sent me dubs, like videos of my character being overdubbed in their language.
That's so funny.
Which is very cool. And
wow, I'm really good at Italian.
And the UK and fan art and stuff like that. That's like the best part. They're like hardcore super fans.
Yeah.
And those kids, I like live for it. That's everything.
That's so
I love
funny.
it so much.
See, it's interesting. I know Henry Danger. I knew of the show on the periphery. Of the episode stuff that I have watched, it's so funny because your character's just a goofball. And she's a news anchor who's just like not your typical news anchor.
No, she's kind of daffy.
He's definitely goofy. But I kept on thinking, I'm like, this has got to be the most fun gig in the world.
It's the best.
You literally could just like let it all out.
Here's something really fun. As a child, I did news anchor bits.
I have so good.
Videos
you were
of
practicing.
I truly my family, when I told them, originally it was just a guest spot, that turned into like 6 years of work and now 3 television shows because
they just renewed, didn't they?
It got spun off.
Yeah, there's another spin-off now.
So it's spun off, and it's a show called Danger Force.
So cool.
And it also got spun off into an animated series, so I got animated, which was a dream come true.
Oh, so you're doing VO and all that stuff.
I did, yeah. It was only 1 season. And I would be in the room with these just unbelievable, voice actors, and that's when I knew. I was like, okay, like I can do this, but you guys are a different breed of human, and I have so much respect for voiceover artists now. I have TMJ, my voice goes out, like I don't speak very quickly, and I don't sing as well as you need to sing to do voiceovers, and I would just be in awe of these voice actors. But it was a great experience.
Take the credit. The fact is that you have an animated character of yourself now.
Isn't that crazy?
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And you get to play a fun character. Like, again, I think there are a lot of people, all those guys on SVU have to play a rapist. It's not fun.
Yeah, this is really fun. Really fun. And the village, the crew, the cast and crew of Henry Danger, and now Danger Force is proving to be just as great. It's a lot of the same crew and a different children. Mm-hmm. Like the kids are 4 different kids, and they're awesome. I love them too. But it started off as just like a guest star spot that turned into like, I was sort of the same way. I was like, oh, this is fun. It's not life-changing, this guest star role. And then it ended up being life-changing.
That's awesome.
It was just, it's the crew, the cast, the showrunner, Chris Nowak.
You're Mary
Gaperman. One half of the Swellview News team.
Right. There's a gentleman who's also a goof,
Trent
but it's different.
Over-under.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and he's great.
Over-under.
Winston Story. He is a dream to work with. I have become friends with him and his wife. I follow his kid, I follow his kid's sport career. He's a really great baseball player, and I love hearing stories about. So they've become fixtures in my life, these people.
That's so cool.
6 years.
It is.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's crazy.
But it's funny though, like you were saying, anybody who starts off as a guest role, right? Obviously, A, you have to have killed it for them to want to have you back. B, do you think that what happened, did they ever tell you, did the writers ever go, we really like this role, we're going to keep writing you in, and then that's how it became? Or was it more of, because it could go both ways. It could be they really loved you as an actress, they wanted to add more into the script, or was it a melding of the two and it was like, you nailed it last time, let's just keep doing it?
So it used to be run by a man named Dan Schneider, who created a ton of hits for Nickelodeon, and he told me and Winston after the first time we shot the 4th episode ever, and he was like, you guys are going to be recurring.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was great. So we were excited, and then we immediately got pinned to shoot an episode, 3 weeks after that. Mm-hmm. And then the week before that episode was to be shot, we found out not only were we cut out of the episode that we shot for time, because it was such a new show, they were figuring it out, but that we also were cut out of the script that we were about to shoot. And it was really, the casting directors, Krisha Bullock and Jamie Snow, were so nice because they didn't have to tell us anything, but they said, Dan wants you to know, it's not personal. This is just a coincidence. We're definitely going to have you back. And then 6 months passed. Wow. And I didn't hear anything. Wow. And I just assumed, I was like, oh, well, that was a dream. And then I got pinned, and I knew not to be too excited. Then they booked me. And then while I was on that, they booked me again. And so I ended up shooting 4 episodes that first season, and then 4 the next. And then after the second season really started to pick up.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know how it is as an actor or actress, this is exactly the story where, and most of the time they don't get the call back. It's 6 months like, oh, we will definitely have you back. some executive changes, they move things around. Next thing you know, you never hear anything ever again.
Yeah. They normally, you get on Facebook, you tell all your friends and family, I'm going to appear on this show.
Yeah.
And then you find out that night that you were cut out after you've made a big deal. So now, to be like, I think I shot a bit for this show. I may or may not end up in it.
Right.
But thank God I didn't have to have those conversations. They just told me, so I never told anyone I was going to be on it. Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have a brother and then 2 stepsisters who've been in my family for a really long time.
So do anybody actors or actresses? Or anything?
No. I mean, everyone's creative in their own way, My brother was like a really good artist, and both of my sisters are really like very stylish and have these beautiful homes. And the youngest sister is a photographer. She's a very talented photographer, and does a lot of art and creativity in her own, like in her personal life.
That's cool.
I'm from a very creative family. My mom was an actress, but not professionally. She wanted to be an actress, and her mom and dad, it was the 60s, 70s, like strongly discouraged her. And my grandmother has since told me she greatly regrets discouraging her. Based on me,
So
and so my mom has been so supportive of me.
So that's what I was
She's
trying
like,
to get
whatever
at.
you want to do. I'm very lucky. I never had to
Like fight for it.
I was always, I'm from educators. Both of my family are teachers. My mom and my dad, or at least were teachers. My dad had 2 careers. He was in real estate and then became a teacher later on in life. And my mom was a teacher and then worked her way up and taught teachers and was a learning specialist. And so both of them really were kind of can-do encouragers. Like, you can do whatever you want. I mean, I'm very lucky to come from that background.
So you moved from Virginia to Chicago with your mom. Your mom knew that you wanted to go into the arts.
Yes.
At that time. You go to UIC. Mm-hmm. You were doing, what were you?
Fine arts.
Fine arts.
Yeah.
So there was no, you were painting.
I was, but my major at UIC was photo, film, and electronic media. Okay. So I was studying video art. I had this amazing teacher there that I'm still in contact with named Jennifer Reeder, who's this very successful experimental filmmaker. And so I was doing like sort of a performative art form.
Okay.
And then I started doing improv comedy while I was in undergrad. So I was going to school full time, waiting tables part time at the Third Coast Cafe. It's a like old school Chicago.
Yeah. So where's Third Coast?
It's in the Gold Coast.
Okay.
It's Division. I mean, not Division. It's Goethe and
now you're going very specific.
I know. I'm trying. Why
Goethe
can't I think?
And
Clark, maybe.
Okay. Well, Clark and Division is. I know that.
Why
area.
can't I think of the main? Anyway, it's like an old school Chicago cafe, and when I worked there, it was open 24 hours, and then shortly after, like a year after I started working there, it was open till 4 a.m. on the weekends. Like a very.
It was a diner.
It's like if you go to Chicago, go there. It's a really special place.
Third Coast.
Yeah, I mean, up until like they absolutely had to get rid of their smoking section. They
people
had
were
a smoking
coming in
section,
there?
but artists
Young
and
people?
poets, all different ages.
Wow.
And being in the Gold Coast, we had a lot of famous people come in there. We'd wait tables. It's
Name
just,
drop it. Let's hear it.
Dennis Farina tipped me $20 on a coffee.
That's cool.
Yeah. And he's like Chicago too.
Is he? He's not.
I think he passed away.
I think
he
died,
did. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm
anybody
terrible with names.
In case you know who Dennis Farina is. You just look him up. You'll know right away.
He's
you
like
see him.
a character.
He used to play the bad guy or a cop or.
He was a cop in Chicago, and then
is that true?
Yes, and then he started acting, and then played a cop on TV.
Who else?
Ken Burns came in.
Ken Burns.
Yeah, the documentary
is he from Chicago?
filmmaker. I don't think so, but we'd have because it was in like such a hotel district. The Ambassador East was like and West were right across the street. And
interesting.
so we'd have
So yeah, for young people who don't know Ken Burns, if you ever see a montage of a bunch of slow-moving pictures with dissolves, that was Ken Burns.
Yeah, the Ken Burns effect.
Yeah,
I think it's like an Apple.
Yes.
It's on, if you have an Apple and you ever do a slideshow on Apple,
yes, that
there's
is
an
like his
option
term.
to do the Ken Burns effect. There was like fun Alan Thicke.
Oh, Alan
Yeah,
Thicke, of course.
He came in once. Robert Smith from The Cure.
Oh, wow.
Billy Corgan, Chicago. He lived around the corner.
He did? Well, he's from the burbs.
He did. He's from the burbs, yeah. But he lived in the Gold Coast when I worked there.
That's cool.
This was, I won't say how long ago it was, but it was a while ago.
Well, you're 18, so
yeah,
this
was... it was 2 years ago. So, I worked there, and that was awesome. I met some really interesting people, and really...
It's inspiring in a way, too, while you're waiting tables anyway.
I mean, and also like the owner of it were Chris and Janet, Chris Belter's. They were just so on our side. I will say, I don't think when I was there, it was known for having like amazing service. I don't think I was the best waiter ever, but I did care, But it was kind of a hangout. It was like a neighborhood joint,
That's cool.
And you just, we had all of our regulars and.
So that was your sole job while you were in school, or did you have other things too?
Yeah, that was my sole job. And then when I graduated, I got a job working downtown as an admin assistant at a company called Discovery. And it had, we were pharmaceutical event planning, just as a short, we did a lot of things, but that's what it was. So we were kind of the middleman between like pharmaceutical educational events and the pharmaceutical companies. And I did admin work there. So I kind of was assisting. I wasn't so much involved in the work as I was assisting the people who were doing the work. And I did that, and they were amazing. I went to my boss there and I said, I have this dream to be an actor. Someone has offered to rep me. I got representation through doing work at IO Chicago.
I see. So
I got an audition for Mad TV, and then one of the casting directors there was like, "You're not rep. Do you want representation?" And then hooked me up with, it was called Grossman Jack Talent at the time, and or maybe it was called Linda Jack, and then it became Grossman Jack. And I don't know. Mickey Grossman, my agent, has since passed away. God rest his soul. But it's still around. It's a great agency there. And then I said, I have this opportunity, and I would kick myself if I don't take it, but I understand if it's not going to work here. But I promise I will continue to work my butt off. But could I maybe take my lunch break at different times of the day, and instead of going to lunch, go on the auditions? This woman, Stacy Stonecipher, she created a job for me where I wasn't, like, I had to stop being an admin assistant. But this woman, she just helped me. Like, I had a couple of people there who I always joke, if I ever won an Oscar, I'd have to thank them, because that was instrumental in me finally taking myself seriously as an actor. Because
somebody else gave you the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, it was so supportive. Just like, oh my gosh, good for you. You're going for it.
That's
and
so
then
good.
I worked part-time there. They created a part-time job for me. And I worked even harder. Like, I really wanted to prove to them that it was worth
taking a chance on.
Yeah, and then finally, like, I just couldn't do the job, and I had to quit to go to grad school. But I was there for like 4.5 years.
That's really cool.
I think I was way more skeptical than the people around me. I think about my parents being like, yeah, you can do it. And I was like, no, I can't. It wasn't until my, early, like after I graduated, when I took the day job, my mom was like, are you sure you want to do it?
You're talking about
like after art school.
I
immediately, like 3 days after I graduated, took this day job. And my mom was like, that's like an office job. It's going to take you away. Are you sure you want to do it? And I was like, I need to support myself. I was very pragmatic.
Good for you. In a way. You know what I'm saying?
I know. It was reverse role where I was the one saying, are you sure? And my mom was like, I think you need to go for it. And I was like, no, Mom, I need a day job. A
lot of people, maybe even your mom, the vicarious act, because she was an actress, like you said, but she never really went for it. So
she was runner-up in the Miss Virginia pageant.
Oh, well, there you go.
She signed up so that
Mom's a beaut.
I know. She is. She's great. She was like she was homecoming queen in my town, and runner up in the Miss Virginia pageant, won Miss Congeniality in the pageant. She's just a lovely.
Oh, she did. Yeah. That's amazing. Yep. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you go from UIC, you have this job. Obviously, you're auditioning. You get repped because you're doing Improv Olympic. Or you're doing?
I was doing IO, Improv Olympic. Yeah.
Very cool. How was that experience?
Oh, it was amazing. I feel so grateful that I went through when I went through it, because I was kind of on the cusp of like the old guard and the new. I find in like a lot of things I do, I've been sort of at a crux with like my grad program. I was the second graduating class ever of the program, and where I was situated time-wise at IO was in between like the old guard and the new. And so I met friends and collaborators that I'm still friends with today.
That's cool.
Lifelong friends. I was just Marco Poloing. It's a video app with my 3 really close friends from that era that we all met doing improv. Shout out to them. And it was an amazing education. It's so serious. It's a very serious comedy community. And ultimately, that's why I had to leave it. But because it was like, like very intense, and I kind of took it too seriously. There was a point of no return for me, or a tipping point. There was a tipping point where it was like, you know what, if I continue here, I might start to be incredibly hard on myself. But it was an amazing education just to devote my life for like 7 years to just like making art and doing comedy.
That's really
and
nice.
I wasn't really concerned with being seen. And so I got all my like really bad stuff. Hopefully I got all my really bad stuff out then, and the people, my peers, are doing amazing work. I saw SNL live, I don't know, in 2011 or 12. And I was in a writer's room. And I was like, there are 12 people in this room who work for the show. And 4 people on screen that I know that were my peers. And that was my dream, was to be on SNL. And at that point, I pretty much figured out it wasn't going to happen, that particular dream. But I was like, this is pretty close enough.
Your gig right now, to believe it or not, the way at least it's acted out and stuff, it's really not that far off. Like, I'm sure you have a little bit of improv that you can throw in there.
Yeah.
Because I see some weird stuff, and I'm like, there's no way that this exact, like, little minute thing was written. I don't know, at least what I saw.
I will say the writers truly are, I love the writers for Henry Danger.
Well, then they must be pretty good.
They do write really, really, really smart comedy that plays to both the adults, their parents, and the kids. There's a lot of jokes there that would go over kids' heads that are just, it's so smart.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
So, these people that are, who've made it to SNL, and like you said, at the time, Mad TV. But did you ever actually try to go out and audition, or did that just not happen?
Yeah, I did do it in Chicago, and it's a smaller community, and unless you were on Second City main stage, which was something I really wanted, but never happened for me. Did you do Second City at all? I did. They asked me to do a couple of, I did a couple of videos that they cast, but I wasn't on, BizCo, and then I did this show. They had this Second City Unhinged show in the summers for a while on the ETC stage. They had such a demand for tickets, but didn't have a show. ETC was only Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I think, or Sunday. And so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights, they would bring in guest artists. And I did a show there. And that was amazing because I got to perform in front of a Second City audience.
That's cool.
And it was, sold out audiences. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're laughing at everything. I was used to doing comedy for comedians who were make me laugh. And then all of a sudden I'm doing it in front of, people that are there excited to laugh. And I was like, this is amazing.
But Improv Olympic has a decent
does. We would
that.
do in front of great crowds.
Yeah.
But, I was just overly concerned with what my peers thought. So that was an opportunity to just go and do comedy for non-comedians. So I always wanted to do Second City, but it never happened. I was a terrible auditioner. that is a skill that I did not acquire until I moved to LA and stopped caring about acting, because we'll get there. But I went to grad school. So
You went to Northwestern.
I started to get a little burnt out on comedy. I started to get really, really hard on myself. I had a crisis of confidence, and I was like, I don't want to do comedy anymore. And then I applied to one grad school. It was the Northwestern's MFA in writing for the screen and stage. I thought I wanted to be a TV writer. So I was like, I can pay all this money because I'll make it back writing TV. And then after 2 years of going there, and I was like, I'm writing serious work now. I'm writing drama. And then I bring it into workshops and people would be laughing. And I was like, but I'm a serious writer now. But I couldn't get away from writing comedy, even when I was writing really dark comedy. And it was such a great confidence boost. And then I moved to LA because my ex, he had representation. I met him doing comedy in Chicago. And he and his writing partner did this amazing show and, had representation. And so we moved here. We moved to LA.
What year was this?
This was 2009.
Okay.
It was like 2 days after I graduated. Because by that time, I had done 2 internships out in LA. And I kind of was like, maybe I don't want to write for TV. I think I'm a playwright. I think I just need to accept that what I do best is write plays. And I just spent all this money to become a playwright. No! Like, it was the hardest thing to accept, because if I knew that I was going to study playwriting, I would have gone to a fully funded playwriting program.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I just, finally was just like, I got to accept myself. This is what I do. And then he needed to move to LA. I should have moved to New York. But,
I was going to say, if you're going to do playwriting, it makes sense.
But I moved here for him with the agreement that after 2 years, we would consider moving to New York.
Huh.
And he... but it was 2009. No one could get a job. I have my tax return for that year, and we made joint income $14,700. It is the most proud thing I have ever done. I lived at the poverty level.
How did you survive? This town, no one knows LA. You can't do anything with $14,000.
I mean,
you can't even make a music video.
I was baking my own bread. I was cutting both of our hair. I remember one time it was a friend's birthday party.
Jeez.
And we were like, okay, it's a really good friend. We have to go. But we can almost not afford the gas. And so we devised this plan where we would eat. We would say we were coming from another event. We would eat before we go. You get the one beer. I'll say I'm a designated driver. We'll stay for that one drink, and then we'll say we have to go. Because we were so embarrassed that we kind of couldn't even afford one beer.
Wow.
But I have this dream to get a copy of my tax return framed in a gilded frame.
It's a great idea.
Because the next year we made $20,000 combined.
Believe it or not, that's a $6,000. You're probably like, wow, we just hit the jackpot.
I'm so rich.
Oh my
yeah, I'm so rich.
Where were you living?
I was living in Hollywood.
Friends? Roommates?
No,
just you and him together?
Yeah, and we didn't borrow money.
How did you pay rent?
Credit cards, credit card debt.
They let you pay rent with credit cards?
No, I paid the rent and the utilities. We were just really so unbelievably frugal. I lived off of I had saved. I had been an ex-hoarder, and I'd saved hotel shampoos and soaps. We lived off of those.
So
I can't say I looked great. I took my own headshots, photography degree.
With a Polaroid.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, with a point-and-click camera, but I knew how to use Photoshop.
There you
so
go.
I could make it look professional.
Why do you look like Angelina Jolie in this photo? Look, I
don't know. I may have cut and pasted her lips onto mine.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
That is funny.
And my agent was so cool about it. She's like, yeah, that's fine. These look great. These show your personality. I set it up on a tripod. There's those headshots are really funny.
You should frame too.
I know I should. Yeah.
That's funny.
So yeah, and then the third year, I think we made $42,000 combined. It was $20,000 salary.
You are ranking it in here.
I really did feel crazy rich. And then the fourth year, I booked 8 national commercials in a year. So it was going from 20 grand to, a lot more than that. And although not all of them aired, it was a great lesson in don't cash your checks before you get the checks.
Right.
But yeah, that year changed my life and
wow.
Financially. And that really, then I was able to really take advantage of, I was booking commercials but they weren't air. I had this like great luck at booking things that either I got cut out of or didn't air. So that money that I was making was largely, I had a part-time nanny job, and that woman was amazing too. Sandra, she like would let me take off to do auditions, and she was incredibly supportive as well. I've just had some really supportive people in my life.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So after the first 3 years of having that part-time job, the first year I did temp work and weird, but truly couldn't get a job. I mean, it was the strike, the writer's strike had happened, and the financial crisis. So that's why I $7,000. But then the next 3 years, 2.5 years, I had a part-time nanny job. And then from then on, I was able to do it.
That's crazy. Did your mom ever go, is your mom still in Chicago, or is she back in Virginia?
She's back in Virginia now, yeah.
So was she in Chicago during the time that you were working out here, or she moved back?
She was only there the first year that I lived in Chicago.
And then she moved back.
She moved back to Virginia.
So did she ever go back and say, you should come back? You're, $14,000 seems like a lot, but
yeah. She never did. I think she really has been so supportive.
Did you ever call her and think maybe this isn't going to work?
It's so funny. I knew it sucked, but it actually, the opposite happened for me. The year that I made $7,000, I think I learned true gratitude. Like, I had a very have-not attitude. That's sort of the reason that I kind of got burnt out on comedy, is I got really in my head about what I had not done, and like the fact that I hadn't gotten hired by Second City. And I kind of had a terrible attitude. And then when I chose to move to LA, and struggled because of a choice I made, I thought about all the people in this world that struggle and have no choice. Like, if I had to, could have called my parents and they would have let me live at home.
Sure.
If I had to, my parents probably could have scrambled together money to help me pay my rent. And I just kept thinking about the people that live like that for years and years and years and years with no hope of ever doing any better.
There's no back.
And it made me feel way more fortunate than I did before that year. It had the opposite effect of me. It's not like the other thing about this is I quit acting. Like, around the time I stopped doing improv, I was like, I'm not an actor anymore. I'm going to grad school. I'm a writer. I write serious things. I'm actually just a playwright. And then I could not get a job. And my ex was like, my commercial agent will take you on. She likes repping couples. And since you have some I had done some non-union jobs in Chicago. She's like, since you have you've done this before, she'll take you on. And I really think because I truly did not care. That's why I booked 2 commercials my first year. And then the next year I booked 4.
It's always like
it's crazy.
It's right when, and I've thought about this mentally for myself. It's like, should I just give up on this one thing?
Yeah.
Because then it'll come.
Yeah, but you have to truly give up. It's not
I know.
I've,
you can't consciously.
I'm like, I don't care anymore. I don't care, but I care desperately.
No. It's right when you literally say, I'm done. And then all of a sudden, it just pours.
It just happened with me as a playwright 3 years ago. I got a divorce. I fell in love. Like, I had a lot of change in my life that kind of made me question everything and be like, what else do I need to do differently? Like, what else have I been doing on autopilot? And I realized that for the last 2 years of my life, like, I had been writing plays on autopilot. So it's like, I'm going to learn a lesson from my past where I just burn out furiously. And I'm going to maybe just take a break and hope that it'll come back to me. And it was very hard to do because it was such a big part of my identity.
Of course.
And such a big part of why I've always credited to my success as an actor is that I have this other thing that I do. But I let it go. And then I had three productions in the next year. And the final of the 3 is happening in Portland in May.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's crazy.
Good for you. That's so cool.
So you really have to quit.
So when you, and I don't want to get into too much on the personal stuff, but you got divorced. Did you think about eventually moving back to New York, or
no?
That never happened.
No, it's funny. The year before I got divorced, I was struggling a lot and had a lot of questions about my life, and I wasn't sure why I was so unhappy, because I was like, look, doing all these things that I love. I'm living my dream. I have this really nice husband. I have this really nice life. Why am I so unhappy? So I examined every area of my life. And very long story short, just woke up one day and had all of the answers. Like, I had been worked really hard. I had been meditating a lot. I was very like, I had this very
you got
like
the Zen thing going.
Zen hippie 2 months where I like cleared my schedule. I was like, I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to figure it out. You know, all this just like confluence of events happened, and I just suddenly was like, I love my job. I love living in LA. Other big questions, and I think maybe it's my marriage. And then my ex asked me for a divorce. So we were on the exact same page.
Wow.
And we have a relationship still, an incredibly amicable divorce.
That's like the best thing you could hear.
I fell in love. Like, I mean, I started dating my now boyfriend like 2 weeks after I got my ex and I split. Like, it was not how I wanted. It was too soon. I was like, this is too soon. But I had to accept that he's like my soulmate. And my ex knows him and was okay
cool
with that. And he's like, oh, I'm glad that you're happy. And
that's awesome.
It's crazy. So it was like a,
It was a meant to be situation.
It really was, yeah.
That, by the way you just said that is like the rosiest thing I've ever heard.
It's crazy.
It does not happen like that.
And
most
it was
of the time.
not easy. Like, I mean, it was
sure.
for the
like you said, he's a nice guy too.
Yes.
So it wasn't like he did something wrong.
Oh my God. And it was so much grief to like say goodbye to such a nice guy. It just wasn't right. It just, for either of us, we weren't that happy, obviously. So it's been a crazy 2 years, but 2.5 years.
You came up on top. You're doing all right. Work's good. Everything like that.
Yeah.
Do you, because this is a very Chicago-based show, do you ever go back to whether it be IO or just go back to your old stomping grounds of like where you used to work?
I do. I haven't been in a while. I had a production of one of my plays in Chicago.
Where at?
Sideshow Theater Company.
Oh.
Yeah. That was amazing to get to do one of my plays in Chicago.
That is cool.
And they're a really great theater company. And my boyfriend spent like 6 months of his life in Chicago.
Huh.
But he went one semester to the Art Institute of Chicago. And I'm like, you don't know Chicago. Like, you live downtown. You were going to school there. Like, I want to show you my Chicago. So that is actually on our this year goal. Is to get back to Chicago.
Tell him to move back?
No,
or
just
to go back.
To go back.
I was like,
yeah,
wow.
I want to take him to the Green Mill, and I want to take him to IO. I have not been to the new IO.
Oh, I haven't either, by the way.
Yeah, I want to. We were just talking about it yesterday, and he was like, "I never went to Second City." I was like, "You never went to?" Okay, so we'll go to Second City, and yeah, I want to take him.
Tell me all those hot spots. Where do you like to go?
I would take him to the Third Coast Cafe. Okay. I mean, just the things that were dear to me.
Okay.
I mean, architectural boat cruise. Even when I lived there,
me too.
Anytime anyone would come into town and be like, we
gotta
have
go on the boat.
Go. It is the best.
Let's go during the summer though.
100%.
Because I've done it. I've done one that's a little chillier. It's not fun.
I did it at the end of May, and in the pictures, I'm wearing a down coat.
No, you have to wait. Chicago. You have to wait till end of June, July, and you're guaranteed to be okay.
I think September in Chicago.
It's a cool time. Yeah.
Late September it's like LA weather. It's sunny. It's not that humid. All over. Just the neighborhoods and so much of it has changed, though. I wish I could take him to the old IO and that whole area. Like, it was so funny because by the time my ex and I split, we were talking about like all of the places that we went to in our early days of Chicago are closed. Like, and it's so poetic that the Chicago that I knew with him is gone. Like, it's gone,
It's sad, but
it's so sad. Yeah.
Where do you eat? I always ask people where they eat in Chicago. Besides Third Coast.
I mean, it's so sad. Since I've lived in LA, I have dietary restrictions.
That's okay.
So like all of my favorite things I can no longer eat. Like Chicago deep dish pizza, I can no longer eat. I can't do gluten or dairy. I've like turned full LA.
Wow.
I joke that like.
Are you vegan?
No, I'm not vegan, but I can't do dairy. So I'm like
just digestive stuff?
Yeah, digestive stuff and gluten. Like I just have a lot of like kind of autoimmune issues that are triggered by. I don't have celiac disease, but I really do have to do a gluten-free diet.
No, understood.
So so I want a Chicago hot dog.
Do you ever go to Karen's? There is a raw.
Oh yeah,
It's on
in
Halstead.
the West. Yeah,
I've been there before, and it was
that place
really good.
is great.
That I really enjoyed. Karen's Raw Bakery, or it was like it's also a dine place too. But
this was like short lived. But do you remember I think it was on Armitage or Halstead? There was a restaurant called Minnie's that served all miniature food.
No,
this is crazy.
It sounds funny.
It is.
I've never been
and
there.
it was the best. And people loved it. Like, this was before sliders were a thing on menus.
Huh.
And, like, they served, like, mini hamburgers, which are basically sliders. And, like, all of their desserts came in miniatures, but you get multiple of them. And
Minis.
yeah, and it was I
out.
believe a woman who's on her birthday, her grandmother would make her miniature food, and her grandmother's name was Minnie, Minnie, and so she started this restaurant. That's
so
been
funny.
closed for a while. It was a short-lived thing, but that's like, if anybody listening ever went to Minnie's, shout out to you, because I loved that place. That was like a fun place to take people from out of town because it was so bizarre.
What did you also get into sports there, or you don't care at all about sport? Like, did you want to
No,
go to Cubs
I did.
games?
I did. I mean, I lived in Wrigley pretty much my entire time. I lived Wrigley adjacent.
Where about?
Well, I lived at Newport near Southport. And when I moved, I was just talking about this the other day too. I've had so many Chicago conversations in the last 3 days. When I moved there, that area was so different. There was this little Tibetan restaurant that I used to love to go to where like Tibetan monks, like Buddhist monks, would serve you the food. It was run by Buddhists. It was like a vegetarian restaurant. And then like a little plumbing shop and like a little like family attorney.
It's on Southport?
Yes, but now Southport is like a nightlife district.
Really?
That's the thing that's most changed since I left Chicago. Is Andersonville was not a thing when I left Chicago.
Yeah, Andersonville.
The I take Hopleaf. I love the Hopleaf.
Hopleaf?
Yeah, it's up in Andersonville.
Okay.
Well, you don't drink beer, so that's probably why. But it's like got an insane beer menu, and this was back before like IPAs were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy beers, and they have amazing food too.
Okay.
Because you were Chicago
there,
Diner.
Because you said you left in 2009. Oh, Chicago Diner,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah, 2009. And I would say my last 2 years of living there were so grad school centric. I was so busy that it was more of like an Evanston experience.
Yeah, Evanston's a great.
I love
spot.
Evanston.
It's a cool spot.
That would be a place I'd like.
When
to
Jimmy
live.
John's like first. Yeah, I'm a big Jimmy John. And when I found out they have it out here.
Potbellies.
Potbelly. Oh my god.
That's.
I miss Potbelly.
Potbellies sandwiches. We were in the Chicago, I think we were in O'Hara at a layover, and I was like, oh my God, a Potbellies. Paul, you have to get it. It was like, 8 in the morning, like an overnight, 7 in the morning. And I was like, get a sandwich. He's like, Carrie, it's like 7 in the morning. I was like, well, I can't have it, so please get a sandwich there.
I've tried not to eat as much bread these days because it's very bready.
Yes, it is.
But the sandwiches are so good. And again, I eat a milkshake
slice.
and they have
Yes.
like the little cookie on the straw.
Oh my gosh.
Everything about Potbelly, I
thinly
miss.
sliced tomatoes and pickles.
I know. It's so simple, but it's so
simple.
But
and
it's
then
so
their
good.
Dijon mustard, like everything about Potbellies. I love.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I had it. The last time I had Potbelly was actually in Detroit.
Wow.
I didn't know that they were all over that place either. But
yeah,
I came across. I'm like, I'm gonna get this.
Yeah,
it's really good. But yeah, dude, there's so many things that need to come out this way. Geno's East just came out. We've talked to people out here. Have you gone there yet?
No, I haven't.
Because you don't eat the deep dish anymore?
I told Paul that we needed to go for him. I mean, who doesn't love cheese? I mean, who doesn't love pizza?
Yeah. I don't know. What did you eat when you were in Chicago out of deep dish? Out of all the...
Geno's. I would...
Oh,
in Lou Malnati's... because... Yeah, I didn't eat it a ton because it's like such an intense experience that you know.
It's heavy.
It's heavy, yeah.
I agree. But it's good, though.
It's so good.
As you get old, when I was younger, too, I would scarf that stuff down. As you get older, it's like you have one slice and you're like, I'm pregnant.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
exactly.
like I'm going to be paying for this.
Right, exactly. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where.
You should also check. I would tell people as well. Go to Masa. That's another really.
Oh
good deep
yes,
dish.
in Echo Park.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
people love that place.
Yeah, it's a really good.
Yeah.
Good deep dish spot.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Joy's?
No.
There's a really good smoothie spot.
Oh, I love a smoothie.
And if you ever had an avocado smoothie,
Yes.
you have.
I have.
Okay.
I love.
Because some people are like, oh my god,
like, that's
disgusting.
weird.
Like, no, it tastes
No,
amazing.
I like all the green stuff.
So there's a place called Joey's Noodles on.
That sounds so familiar. It's kind of South Evanston.
It's like off of Dempster. If you take Dempster all the way down.
Dempster.
I think it's
Davis.
off of Davis
Okay,
Street.
yeah. I'm so bad with names. I try to look at a map of Chicago. I just looked at one like a month ago so I don't forget it.
Going back to that old encyclopedia
Yes.
from 1994. Like,
I know it used to be that you could give me any address in Chicago and I could tell you like approximately where it was because it's a grid system and you learn it. You once you know this.
Yeah.
I'm doing motions for north and south and east
you
and
literally
west.
just called for me to steal second.
Yeah.
I got it. It's so good.
I also tell me if you have I've talked to a lot of Chicagoans. Ever since living in Chicago, when I think about going to the ocean, I have to stop for a second and
What
be
direction
like,
you're in?
it's to the west. Because I was so used to orienting to
East.
an eastern
Course.
body of water
Of course.
that I was like, well, no. So I still, to this day, I've lived in LA for over 10 years, almost 11 years, and I'm still have to like stop for a second and be like, it's on the east side. Away from the water.
But that is how direction, at least in Chicago, is.
Yeah,
you always
everything-
knew is if I head east, I know where I'm
Yeah,
heading.
yeah.
I know where I'm going.
You were west oriented because so few streets were east. You
Yes.
know what it was, State Street, right?
Right.
That might be the street that it might have been State Street that Third Coast Cafe is on. Yeah.
Did you ever hang out by the rocks?
At Evanston? Yeah.
When
Oh,
I used
beautiful.
to, I explained that to some people in Chicago. They don't know what I'm talking about. Like, no. It's like where all the graffiti is on the rocks. I filmed over there, but that was like my hot spot for high school.
Oh yeah, of course.
It was like sunset. You just hang out there.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
I once was
uncle
hanging
taught me
out up there with one of my friends, and a cop came, and he's like, "You're gonna get murdered out here." I was like, "This is the most Chicago
Was
cop
it just
moment
two
ever."
girls?
No, it was me and a guy friend, and we were hanging out there, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "We're just,
Was it
trying
night?
to enjoy it." It was nighttime, but
Oh.
it wasn't that late. And he's like, "Go home, you're gonna get murdered." And I was like,
Barrett.
Yeah.
You got to pack it up.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, I love it. Here's something interesting too. I'm from the South. People more often recognize a Midwestern accent in my voice. People always know I've spent time in the Midwest. They rarely
You can't I can't hear
Southern.
I don't hear any Southern.
It's
out of
so
you.
funny. I mean, if I go home, you'll hear a Southern accent coming out of me.
Why, you just break into it?
Yeah, I used to have
Well.
one, but then when I went to school in New York, I got it like beaten out of me. I just didn't want to stick out, and people would comment it all the time.
You
So,
beat it out of
and
yourself.
I'm very, I'm one of those people. I'm like Madonna. Like I go to England for like 4 days, and I'm like have a full blown, British accent. It's so embarrassing, but I'm an emulator, And the Chicago accent has not. I mean, it's not like I have a hardcore Midwestern accent, but there's some words that I say that my family will be like, "You still sound like you're from Chicago."
That's funny.
It's really funny. Yeah.
Can you do the stereotypical Chicago accent?
I don't think I can. Like Chicago. Like, because there's the Chicago, but then there's the Chicago, like the people that...
There's Chicago,
yeah,
and then there's the
exactly.
South side, Chicago. There's a
yeah.
difference. It is. People don't realize
Yeah.
that. There is a difference.
Milk. That was one of the things I remember when
I think
first
that's more
time...
of like isn't that more like a Minnesota thing?
Is it? I just remember this dude, like all the time people would order a milk, like when I would, and I was always like, milk.
What I know of Chicagoans, say what's the thing on top of a house?
Oh, roof. That's
a roof.
how they say
I
it.
got a roof. I'm like, what's a
roof?
roof? Oh, are you barking at me?
Yes.
I always said roof. My entire life
Roof.
I said
I
roof.
say
But
roof, too.
I have a number of friends who said, "Oh, you got to go fix the roof."
Yeah,
I'm like,
my
fix the what?
ex-boyfriend was from Southside, and he was like, "No, it's a roof. It's a roof."
Congratulations on everything you've done.
Oh my gosh, thank
I
you.
wish you luck. Hopefully you had a little fun.
This was so much fun.
Cool.
Thank you so
It was-
much
it was-
for
it
having
was chill. It
me.
was
And
fun.
you're making me feel
Easy.
I'm gonna like leave and be like, maybe I am doing good.
You are really doing well, guys. Check out Carrie Barrett. Where should everybody find Carrie Barrett?
Yeah.
Where should everybody find all your stuff?
I'm a real hardcore Instagrammer, maybe to my detriment. It's Currie Barrett, CurrieBurrett is my handle. I have a website, carriebarrett.com. You can see me on there, see my clips.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.